Welcome to the Club Sesh. We're live. It's 4:20. Bonbon's a little small. Need to make her a little bigger. Let me look at the chat. Who's here? Welcome to the Club Sesh. Hi, Jaden. Today we are going to talk about Area 420. Government secrets they don't want stoners to know. Hi, Madam Dram. Welcome, welcome. I've got my sunglasses on just in case they're watching. My neighbors are screaming for some reason, so hopefully you don't hear it, but... All right, very nice. How's it going? Groovy. Groovy, baby. I wonder how Winslow had done the music before, but whatever, we're fine. Hi, Daniel. I would just like to know, I took a huge bong rip, and I'm so freaking ready. Jaden's ready. If he's part of the Men in Black, I would be part of the Men in Black. I'd be good at it. Yeah, Stone Conspiracies on a Wednesday. Why not? Why not? Listen, I'm not a big conspiracy theorist. It's not really my style, but, you know, I'm down to look into some things. Why not? Let's look into a bunch of shit. But before I do, I just want to say, before we get started, if you haven't ordered my cookbook yet, what are you doing? What's going on with that? Do we need to talk? Do we need to have a talk? I'm going to drop the link, and it's better if you don't get it from Simon & Schuster, so I'm going to give you a couple of links here, actually, because if I'm being totally honest with you, the best way for me, royalty-wise, is to order it through Amazon, because I'm no dum-dum. I set it up, so I get a commission on top of the royalty I get on the book, which is great that they let authors do that. Hi, Chris Core. How's it going? Fraggle Rock Pothead is here. Anyway, that's where you can get it on Amazon if you would like a signed copy. You know, you may want one. Now Serving LA has copies, okay? How much do you love that? Those are signed copies. So, pick up a copy of my cookbook. You won't regret it. I ran 200 lab tests. It doesn't take hours to make canna butter. I'm sorry. Let's think about it. What are we trying to do when we make canna butter? We're simply using butter to wash off the trichomes, the heads. I mean, with edibles, like whatever. Whole trichome. Let's take it all that potency. And it's not that hard. It's really not hard. A little bit of heat, little bit of stirring, agitation, and they melt right off into butter. Really likes butter, even at a lower temperature than other oils, is what I found. So that's all in here. There's super geeky charts. There's how to make tincture. There's how to activate THC, aka decarboxylate. I just kind of, which I'm always late to the game. I'm like, now that the app is over, I'm on TikTok. And people just keep on tagging me in this guy, like Stoner Gump or something like that. Where is he? Where is it? Oops. And it's like cool. He's funny. He's like a comedian. And he has millions of followers. And I don't know, Stoner Gump. Yeah. And he doesn't know how to make weed butter. I'll tell you that. I mean, it'll work. It's just, if you've ever had weed butter that tastes super green and cannabis, like not a pleasant cannabis flavor. I don't mind the flavor of weed, but if it's been sitting there in butter for 5 or 6 hours, it's just never going to taste good. You can't convince me. Sorry. And it just doesn't take that long. You've already done it. You've gone past it. And now you're just wasting your time because someone told you to do it that way, or you did it that way and you've convinced yourself that makes it stronger. And maybe it's that you're developing more CBN or something from heating it for too long. I don't really think it's that precious, but it's just not the case. That's not what happens. It doesn't get more potent if you keep on heating it for hours. Anyway, what's everyone saying? I recommend buying one from Now Serving because it's signed, and then one from Amazon to cook with. Yeah, that's true. That's a good idea. Hi, Claudine. Buy several. Makes great gifts for the holidays. That's true. High-fat butter works good. Think about adding ghee to help the infusing process. Yeah, I mean, ghee is butter without the milk solids. So it's just, the butter fat. And it's clarified. And that's effective too. Butter just works really well. It just does. So, and I looked at that compared to coconut oil, grapeseed oil. They all infuse really easily. But at a lower temperature, butter infuses faster. So, Chris, yes, this thing is going to be a cultural touch point in the future. I want one to preserve for that. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. Looking fire, V. Thanks. I thought I'd wear my glasses tonight because honestly, I've been looking back at some of these live streams and I'm looking a little stoned. Also, I'm smoking CBD. It's not just CBD. It's a mix. So I'm smoking, who am I smoking this evening? This is Farm Cut Harmony Rose CBD 1:1, and it's from Emerald Spirit Botanicals. So this is some outdoor. Thanks, Brian. Some outdoor. Let me just trying to get it right so it's not like in my face, but it's there. I feel like I need, what is on me? Snacks for today? I don't know. I might get snacks. I need some snacks. Okay, so today we're going to delve into the CIA's clandestine project MK Ultra, which involved unethical experiments on people to explore mind control techniques. I have never looked into this, so please raise your hand if you know all about this. I'm curious. Take a bog rip. Bonbon is chill. Hey, Petra. I took her for a little walk before this just so that she would, I just wanted her to be chill. All right, so we're going to watch a BBC reel on MK Ultra. I feel like I should start off by ordering something. What should I try today on the club sesh? Let me see what's available. I don't want anything that's going to give me heartburn. Okay? I just want I don't even know if I want savory. I might just want something ridiculous. Like, I have ice cream here, but that doesn't even feel right. I don't know what to get, but I feel like I need a little something while we watch this. I've gotten tacos. Remember when I got the cookies? That was fun. Maybe there's like another bakery I can go to. I'm sorry if you don't like watching me eat, but this is like right during dinner time. And so we either change the time of this or see, like, do I just go really bad and just get fucking donuts or something like that? I still want to see what this Brady's Bakery. What do you guys think about Brady's Bakery? Should we try Brady's Bakery? These are different cookies. Welcome to Brady's Bakery. The BYOB variety. Most ordered. Half dozen cookies. The oh my fucking god cookie to go. I think we're going to do this. Why the fuck not? I did yoga today. Pasta. Chicken shawarma. Poutine. Boba. You silly. It's a donut day. Yeah, Chris knows what I'm talking about. I think I'm going to go with cookies, Chris. I think we're going to do cookies. Okay. Let me tell you guys the options because I know you're going to tell me you're going to have opinions, right? I don't know if this is like a crumble competition, but it's called, let me look them up. These are called Brady's Bakery. Let's switch on over. Let me pull this up first and make sure. Okay. Here we go. Look at these cookies, right? That looks pretty hot to me. That looks pretty tasty. So this is what I'm thinking about getting. Let's look at the cookies. Oh my God, the names are ridiculous. I'm going to decline. We decline the cookies. Okay, well, we are happy to support LGBTQ IA plus community. Let's look up. Oh, wait, this is asking too many questions. I just want to see, I want to show you guys the cookies. Okay, are there more? I know there's more, right? Get the party started. I want you guys to see it. Okay, let me just see if I can back. I wonder, let's say, well, Hollywood, sure. I don't want to do all of this. Oh my God, this is very intense. I also don't. Hi, Kathy. Okay, I just want to look at their fucking menu, okay? That's all. I just want to look at your menu. That's all. Brady's Bakery, whatever. You're going to look at those and I'll tell you what they are in my phone. Okay, so obviously we have this one that is, and we're going to get a half dozen. So we're not getting the basic B because I don't want a basic B. The oh my fucking God cookie to go. We're going to get one of those. They have PB&J cookie. Are you guys listening? Cookies and cream cookie. Am I still on? Yes. Okay. Right? These look good, Chris. I am saying. I'm happy. What would you like? See, everyone's into this cookie. Looks like the Blues Brothers. Cool shades. Thanks. I got them at Nordstrom Rack. The Heartstopper cookie to go. So this is the Heartstopper cookie. What the hell does that mean? Let's look at what this means. This cookie is guaranteed to ruin your willpower. I don't have any. Oops, she's a red velvet cookie stuffed with Nutella. Sorry, not sorry. Oh, that's interesting. The half pounder with cheese cookie to go. That sounds disgusting. Okay, so we got the oh my fucking God cookie. I wish they would just give an option for like 3 cookies. They have the honeybee cookie. I wonder what the honeybee cookie is. You guys want me to get the heart stopper? Okay, so there's the heart stopper. I want to try the PB&J cookie for sure. I guess I'll get a heart stopper. Why the hell not? And then we have this honeybee cookie. Don't know what that is, but we'll give it a whirl. And then I think I have, this is so many cookies. Cookies and cream cookie. We definitely should do the cookies and cream cookie. And then we either have the basic bee cookie, which is this like, I don't see a gay as fuck Rice Krispie treat, but that's hilarious. They have this basic bee, or they have a chocolate chip sea salt cookie. Bonbon has had enough. Did she leave? Oh, she's on the floor. Yeah, sometimes she does that. She does what she wants. That double double looks good. What's the double double? Oh, this is the double double cookie. No, they only have the half pounder with cheese cookie. I don't know what the fuck that is. Should I just get it? Well, I guess we're getting it. All right. We're adding this to the order. I'm going to get these cookies. Look at they can give you oat milk if you want. We're doing it. Oh no, it's going to take so long. Why is it going to take so long? Whatever. We're in this live. Let's do it, bitches. Getting cookies. I'm happy. All right, Bonbon's gone, so I don't want to turn off the Bonbon cam. Hello, Dan Fernandez, Lunessa. My name is Vanessa. Love the cookbook. Thanks, Kathleen. That means a lot to me. Also, I just want to say thank you, everyone who wrote me 5-star reviews on Amazon. It really, like, people see that and they go, oh shit, this is a good cookbook, because a lot of people don't know who the hell I am and that I've been doing this for a long time. Anyway, so thank you, everyone, for letting people know that the cookbook is legit and I put a lot of work into it. Okay, so we got our cookies situated. They are on their way, and it's going to take a little bit, but that's okay because we got stuff to do. Okay? I know I just got cookies for dinner, but that I don't care. I'm an adult and I get to eat whatever the hell I want. Okay, so we're going to watch a really quick thing on this. Actually, it's not quick. Let me put my AirPods in. Okay. I hope these work. I wonder what the battery is at on these. Okay. So what are you guys saying? Your cotton candy episode, we've got theories to conspire. Yes, we do. Cookbook in the dog bed. That's a good idea, Brian. You're so smart. Because Bonbon's not going to sit there. She hates it. Anyway, okay. Your cotton candy. Dan says your cotton episode looked like an episode of I Love Lucy. That's funny. That's good. I get it now. Okay. MK Ultra, the CIA's secret pursuit of mind control. In the early days of the Cold War, the CIA ordered the creation of a secret program intended to find ways of mind control. I realize neither my book nor the dog is in the shot. Oh, and she's going to sit there with it. She's so cute. She's such a cute little dog. Should I move it up a little bit? Let me move it up a little bit. You guys, look what I did. Now we have Bonbon and the book in the shot, okay? Love it. Oh shit, they already picked up the order. It's on its way. Okay, so let me take another bong hit. They funded an army of psychiatric institutions across the United States and Canada, Mike is still on, to perform experiments on patients using psychedelic drugs, sensory deprivation, horrible, electroshock treatment, and more. The program was known by its now infamous codename, MK Ultra. Oh, there she goes. AI is incorporating it as well. Well, I don't know what that means. What up, chat? Hey, JL Sanders. You got your locks on tonight. I see you, pimp. Thanks. Let's look at this.
There comes a moment when the ordinary world fades away and the wild calls.
It's not going in my ears. Yes, connect, motherfucker.
Your name.
There we go.
This is as wild as you want it. And it's all here.
Yeah,
every trail leads to an adventure because.
There we go. Jaden says, I remember hearing about thousands of mental hospitals closing down. I feel like they're all haunted now and abandoned. That was Reagan who did that. Closed down the mental institutions, and I mean, not that they were good. Just wait.
I was given a glass of Kool-Aid, and so were the other children. This
children!
Kool-Aid was spiked with LSD. It was horrible.
In the early days of the Cold War, the CIA ordered the creation of a secret program intended to find ways of mind control. They funded an army of psychiatric institutions across the United States and Canada to perform experiments on unsuspecting patients using psychedelic drugs, sensory deprivation, electroshock treatment, and more. The program was known by its codename, MK Ultra.
I'll be like, be real. Just wear shades.
At the end of the Korean War, a number of freed American POWs came home seemingly brainwashed and espousing communist propaganda. American officials suspected that the soldiers had been subjected to what they thought were new communist mind control techniques. Alarmed by the situation, the newly formed CIA allocated $25 million for psychiatric experiments on human beings.
Oh, nice.
It was the most secret program ever conducted by the CIA in the United States. Patients at psychiatric hospitals, prisoners in federal institutions, and even people in the public were given drugs without their awareness or consent and experimented upon.
Initial projects within MKUltra included Operation Midnight Climax.
They established what were called safe houses, where prostitutes would lure men to these apartments. And then once the men were in the apartments, they were dosed with LSD. And then they were basically studied by CIA scientists, usually behind a two-way mirror.
Another common practice was the hosting and observing of LSD-induced parties with live music.
So they'd get sex workers to drug men with LSD. Has there been a movie about this?
These parties were called acid tests, and the culture that grew out of them played a key role in the development of the hippie and psychedelic movements a few years later. However, some of the most damaging experiments occurred at the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal, Canada. There, under the direction of infamous Scottish-American psychiatrist Dr. Ewan Cameron, Unsuspecting
Uh-oh.
patients, many of whom had common ailments such as postpartum depression, were experimented on with aggressive drug cocktails and extreme techniques.
My father was a victim of Dr. Cameron. He was a 27-year-old healthy skier, canoeer, very athletic, and he had asthma. They told him if he went to the Allen Memorial, they could cure his asthma.
My father, Charles, was a patient of Dr. Cameron's. He had a trigeminal neuralgia, it's called, where there's a pain in the temple that radiates into the jaw that apparently is excruciatingly painful. They told him that it was psychosomatic, which it's not, but in those days, what did they know? So they sent him to a shrink.
You're crazy.
The shrink that he went to was working with Cameron, although we didn't know. So he put my father right into the program.
Oh
I was having
God.
trouble with my parents. My father and my
Did you guys know about
decided
this?
to put me in the Allen Memorial Institute. They had no idea what went on in there. I was 16 when I was there.
Dr. Cameron pursued a concept he called depatterning, which was meant to reduce patients to an infantile psychological state wherein doctors could take advantage of the person's
This is
cognitive
like,
vulnerability to attempt to rebuild their mind under the doctor's control. A popular method of choice to achieve this was called psychic driving.
The day that my
This reminds me of like lobotomies, you know, as far as like the fucked up shit we used to do to people because we didn't have any kind of I don't know how this was allowed to happen. I guess, well, because of fear of communism, they're like, these people, communists figured out mind control. We have to figure it out too. Well, who cares if he gets hurt in the process, right?
My father was brought to the hospital, they immediately put him on insulin to put him into like an insulin coma. They took clips from the interview with the shrink and put it on tape to run a loop under his pillow while he was put into this sleep treatment.
He also was put in an insulin coma for 36 days with a recording beside him saying that your mother hates you over and over and over and over and
that's
over.
so fucked up.
That was beside my bed constantly, repeated 250,000 and 500,000 times.
Another common
How
method was
sad.
the use of extreme Page-Russell electroshock therapy.
Page-Russell shock treatment is approximately 40 to 75 times the strength of a normal shock treatment. So it's really designed to wipe.
Wait, Dan Fernandez, nowadays is easier for them. They just use social media. True. What does that one mean? What is that symbol next to your name? Would dose people in power. CIA would dose people in power and put them in situations with paid women to blackmail them. Whoa. Yeah, no. Anyway, let's keep watching.
Wipe out the memory.
He received 54 high voltage shock treatments, followed by 54 grand mal seizures.
After 27 days of this, they said that
poor brains.
they were discouraged because he still had ties to his former life, in that he was asking to see his wife. They decided to give him more Page-Russell shock treatments and put him to sleep for another 30 days.
This is terrible.
When patients were released from the Allen Memorial, they and their families' lives would never be the same again.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, there's a lot I could not remember after I got out of the Allen. When my family came, I was a zombie. I didn't even know who they were.
He never came out the same. He had a blank look in his eye. He didn't know who we were. He didn't know we were his daughters. He lost his job. We went into poverty after he came out.
He had said in his interview with the shrink that I was the apple of his eye. And after he came home, he started beating me not long after.
In
Probably 'cause he was
1973, the MK
confused.
Ultra program was terminated, and some of the evidence of its activities was systematically erased.
The whole thing was basically discovered because of a whistleblower named John Marks, who wrote the first book really about the program called The Search for the Manchurian Candidate. There were congressional hearings here in the United States.
A friend of mine received electroshock Shock therapy to stop him from being gay. So stupid. It worked until it didn't. I mean, it never just doesn't make zero sense. He ended up happy. His parents never knew. F them. Well, I'm sorry for your friend that happened. You know, so fucked up. Alan, hard to believe anything was ever actually learned. Well,
States in the
it seems like we're unlearning everything that we learned.
mid-70s after it had been exposed. And during those hearings, the CIA finally admitted that this program existed. They admitted that it was probably not the right thing to do, but they feigned innocence.
Despite the congressional hearings and marginal interest in the subject in popular culture, most MKUltra survivors suffered in silence, taking their trauma with them to the grave. Today, having received no formal apology or compensation, the children of some survivors are pursuing a class action lawsuit against the institutions they deem responsible.
Oh,
The
cool.
CIA
Thanks,
knew
Madam
that it was breaking,
Jim.
Every moral, ethical, and legal law in the books to do these experiments.
They all were behind it. They all knew what they were doing, but they weren't doing it out of care or love. They were doing it out of military and political reasons.
I am on medication now because of what happened to me when I was 16.
You know, Jaden, I don't, it's hard to believe. And it's just also, you see how people treat other humans. Where'd my little doggy go? Oh, she's on the couch. She's so cute. And you see how they treat animals, and you're kind of just like, well, hurt people. And sometimes people hurt people, don't hurt people. Let's be those people. And don't hurt animals. Anyway. Okay, let's keep watching.
No, I have not had any compensation or apology. I want everyone to know in Canada.
Hello. Uh-oh. Let's go back. Canada, yeah. Ugh. That's nice to hear, Natalie. Okay, so this was great. That was very informative. Very interesting. Okay, let's watch something else before my cookies get here, okay? Before they get here. This is from NPR. I love NPR. It might get here while we're listening to this, but that's okay. So let me read this. The intro before we listen to this. The CIA's secret quest for mind control, torture, LSD, and a poisoner in chief. During the early period of the Cold War, the CIA became convinced that communists had discovered a drug or technique that would allow them to control human minds. In response, the CIA began its own secret program called MKUltra to search for a mind control drug that could be weaponized against enemies. MKUltra, which operated from the 1950s until the early 60s, was created and run by a chemist named Sidney Gottlieb? I don't know how to say that name. Journalist Stephen Kinzer, who spent several years investigating the program, calls the operation the most sustained search in history for techniques of mind control. Some of the experiments were covertly funded at universities and research centers, Kinzer says, while others were conducted in American prisons and in detention centers in Japan, Germany, and the Philippines. Whoa. Many of his unwitting subjects endured psychological torture ranging from electroshock to high doses of LSD, according to Kinzer's research. This is horrible. What's the chat saying? After you back to the video. I muted it. Oops. Defend NPR. I love NPR. Oh, to be convinced my enemies have mind control. How I dream. Gottlieb. Okay, thanks, Natalie. Gottlieb. Gottlieb wanted to create a way to seize control of people's minds, and he realized it was a two-part process. Kinzer says, first you had to blast away the existing mind. Oh yeah, of course, such a man thing. Let me just blast away this. Second, you had to find a way to insert a new mind into the resulting void. We didn't get too far on number 2, but he did a lot of work on number 1. Of course he did. Kinzer notes that the top secret nature of Gottlieb's work makes it impossible to measure the human cost of his experiments. We don't know how many people died, but a number did, and many lives were permanently destroyed. Yeah, ultimately, Gottlieb concluded that mind control was not possible. What a douchebag. After MK Ultra shut down, he went on to lead a CIA program that created poisons and high-tech gadgets for spies to use. All right, let's fucking listen to this shit, okay? Can you listen to this? Can you hear it?
This message comes from Subaru. As part of their Subaru Loves the Earth initiative, they have partnered with the Arbor Day Foundation and will distribute over 100,000 trees this year, growing.
I'm not going to make you guys listen to that. As soon as it's over, I'll put it back on.
Harry Gross. You may have heard stories about the CIA's secret experiments with LSD, through which 60s counterculture luminaries like Ken Kesey and Allen Ginsberg were first
I like that we're listening. I'm going to put it back on the main. I like that we're listening to NPR, and I'm just getting super high, and I'm going to get a bunch of cookies delivered to my house right now, and we're learning about... I love NPR. I mean, it's a little bit of a cult, but, you know, it's a good, we should support it. We need our public radio. Don't let it take away from us. We can't have it happen. Oh my gosh, my cookies are almost here. Let's keep listening. I'm so excited. Gottlieb. Side note, have you guys been watching the Tylenol poison show on Netflix? It's like this cyanide poisoning. I'll be honest, I kind of like half watch things, and then I'm also doing other things at the same time. I have no idea what is happening. Oh, you guys can't hear it? Oh, shit. I have to keep it on browser. My bad, you guys. I was just thought you could hear all that shit. I have to keep it on browser. My bad. Let me go back.
Stephen Kinzer's new book is called Poisoner in Chief.
Can you hear it now? Yes, you can. I'm sorry. I'm not so smart. That wasn't nice. I am smart. I didn't think about the fact that I have to keep it on the browser. Otherwise, you can't hear the audio from the browser.
And the CIA's search for mind control. One of Kinzer's previous books was about the Dulles brothers, Alan and John Foster Dulles. Alan Dulles was the CIA director during most of the years MK Ultra was in operation. Stephen Kinzer, welcome back to Fresh Air. Let's start with, what was the mission of MK Ultra?
During the early period of the Cold War in the late 40s and early 1950s, the CIA became paralyzed with a fear that communists had perfected some kind of a drug or a potion or a technique that would allow them to control human minds. This was actually a greatly exaggerated fear, but it played on something cultural that affected everybody that grew up in the early 20th century. We were fed a lot of books and movies about the idea of mind control, that you could hypnotize someone or give someone a drug that would make them do something that otherwise they would never do. And seized by this myth, the CIA not only believed that communists had approached or reached this holy grail, but that the CIA should also find out a way to do it. So MK-Ultra was a project lasting up to 10 years in which the CIA sought to find ways to control the human mind. They wanted to be able to have a truth serum that would make prisoners say everything they knew, also an amnesiac that would make people forget what they had done, and most important, a technique or a drug that would allow the CIA to direct agents to carry out acts like sabotage or assassination, and then forget who had ordered them to do it or
Crazy. Terry Gross is my spirit animal. That's funny. Just make the... Oh, I already did that. I'm going to put my hair care products in the chat if you want to know what I use in my hair.
They had carried out the actions at all. So MK-Ultra was the most sustained search in history for techniques of mind control.
So LSD was created in 1943 by Dr. Albert Hofmann at the Sandoz Laboratories in Basel, Switzerland. How did the CIA find out about LSD?
As part of the search for drugs that would allow people to control the human mind, CIA scientists became aware of the existence of LSD, and this became an obsession for the early directors of MK-Ultra. Actually, the MK-Ultra director, Sidney Gottlieb, can now be seen as the man who brought LSD to America. Wow. He was the unwitting godfather of the entire LSD counterculture. In the early 1950s, he arranged for the CIA to pay $240,000 to buy the world's entire supply of LSD. He brought this to the United States, and he began spreading it around to hospitals, clinics, prisons, and other institutions, asking them through...
Obviously, the cookies are here. That's Bonbon. She's my little alarm. Who's that, Bonbon? Her little tail wagging. All right, Bonbon, you can't go outside. No. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. You have no idea. I need some milk. Okay, sorry. I just spilled milk. I'm not going to cry about it. I am going to sigh about it, though. Sometimes I have to sigh at myself and I go, ugh, why did I spill milk? She's all excited about whatever's going on there. Okay, we're going to take a break from this right now. Oops, didn't mean to do that with my... Oh, wait, no, it doesn't have my address on it. Thank God. Okay, so let's try this Brady's Bakery. Should I take my sunglasses off to do this? Jamal, remember when the Cookie Monster used to get cookies, how he acted? That's me. All right, so I gotta take my glasses off to do this. These are all individually wrapped. Brady's Bakery. Okay, this is the cookies and cream cookie. Let me pull them all out. It looks like this, very mounded. Cookies and cream. This is the Oh My Fucking God cookie. Brady. Looks like this. Okay, very interesting. The cookies. Okay, this is the vegan, gluten-free, plant-based PB&J cookie. Very interested in this. This is, they're very mounded, you know? This is the Who's Your Sugar Daddy. I didn't order this one, but that's okay. We don't care. It's cute. This is the two Who's Your Sugar Daddy. That I'm not happy about. This is Who's Your Sugar Daddy. They look like two different cookies though. This looks like, we're gonna try both of them and we're gonna see if they're different because this looks very different than that, right? Also very different sizes, so. Is one of those the double decker that I bought? I think that must be the cheese one that I got. And then this, okay, so the stickers aren't right. This is the double, this is the like, whatever. Let me look at my order again. So I got, this is the Heart Stopper. Should we start with that? Should we start with that? Okay. Let me take another bong hit because we're about to eat some cookies. Okay. So I think we'll start with this Heart Stopper. This is a what's it called? Why am I blanking on this? Why can't I think of the name of this chocolate? What a Heart Stopper is. It's the red velvet. Thank you, brain. It's red velvet and Nutella. So let me give you an up close. I'm going to break it open for you. Yes, some is going to get on the floor. I want Bonbon to get it. Okay, so let me try this with the Nutella in the middle. Love it. Okay, I'm going to dip it in milk. That's good. It's very soft. They're like cake cookies. You know what I mean? That's delicious. They're very soft cookies. Petra, I'm probably going to do what I did last time, which is freeze them. And I think these ones are going to freeze better than the crumble ones. Did I die? It didn't stop my heart, and it's not fully making my eyeballs roll to the back of my head, which honestly I appreciate because like I don't like it when a cookie is so sweet. It like makes your head spin. Do you know what I mean? Sure, V, tease us with goodness. Listen, this is what you signed up for, okay? Whether you do it or not. We got to learn things, and I'm going to eat cookies. And take bong hits. Next cookie. I really want to try this vegan, gluten-free peanut butter and jelly. Let me give you an up close. Okay, the jam is thick. You know what I mean? And the ratio of jam to peanut butter seems a little light on the jam. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to think as a gluten-free person right now. It's a little, I'm dipping it. Sorry, I didn't show you. I'm dipping it in some milk. It's a little, like pasty. Kind of, I mean, listen, I'd be stoked if I was had celiac, and I wouldn't trust a place if I was celiac, to be honest with you. If I was gluten-free, vegan, peanut butter and jelly, whole bit, it was good. The red velvet was better, texture-wise and flavor-wise. Okay, we're gonna try this cookies and cream. I'm trying all these cookies. I don't care. They look like muffin tops. That's true. They do. They're not. They're cookies. They're just really thick. They're like clumps, right? Come on. There we go. Like, look at that monster. This is supposedly the cookies and cream cookie. Let me break it for you. Get in focus. There we go. No, it didn't do it in the middle. Whoa. Look at that. So this has like Oreo inside of a cookie. It's a cookie in a cookie. So let me take a plain bite. These aren't as cloyingly sweet as crumble. They have more saltiness to them. I'm going to try dipping it because I feel like every cookie kind of reaches its peak cookiness when you dip it in milk. So it's only fair. I still like that. I mean, that's good. You get a little bit of the Oreo. And it adds like a nice extra. Okay. We tried that. We take a little sip of milk. Why is this so much fun? I don't know. I'm having a great time. I'm letting you know if these cookies are worth it. I'm going to be really honest. And I'm going to be really stoned. Although this is a 1-to-1 because I'm trying to like keep my composure. All right. So this is the oh my fucking God cookie, right? This is some sort of, I think it's Nutella in the middle. So it's kind of like the red velvet, but not red velvet. Let's try it. Oh my fucking, wait, get in focus. There we go. Wait. Sorry, you guys. I'm trying to hide. Get the light. Get the light. Okay. Oh my fucking God cookie. Let's try it. It's kind of like the red velvet, but this is like your basic cookie dough. I mean, I love the Nutella puck in the middle. It's really genius. Okay, let's dip this because, like I said, every cookie deserves a dip. I like this one because it's less sweet than the red velvet. Do you know what I mean? Okay. That was the oh my fucking God. You know what I said? 6 was too many, but I just dropped it on the floor. Luckily, it was in a bag. I'm eating like a quarter to a half. I ate a half of that one. Of each cookie. I'm trying not to eat like too much of them. And then I'll freeze them. Let me put these ones down. And then I have like a little cookie whenever I want. Hi, Iggy. Okay. I don't know which one this is. So we had the cookies and cream. This is maybe the honeybee cookie. And we got a half pounder and cheese. And I think that's that other monster one. I think this is the honeybee. I like how simple this one is. I don't know much about it. I'll have to find some more about it. But let me try it plain. It has nuts in it. And it's very simple. I'll have to look up what this is in here. I think it's pecans or walnuts. So this is the honeybee. We're dipping it in milk. Got to. It's walnuts. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If you don't want something super sweet, that's the one for you. If you're looking for like a walnut nutty situation, the honeybee is for you. It's got a nice saltiness to it. That was good. Hi, Van. I'm on a diet. It's hard to see this. I'm really sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I feel you. I'm only going to eat another bite of one more, and then we're going to go back to our scheduled program. And then I'm going to have a salad for dinner. This must be the half pounder with cheese. Look at this monster. Look at this monster. You looking? Oh boy. It's breaking this way. Is it? Here we go. Man down. Look at that. Look at that. Oop. That is a monster cookie. Some landed on the floor. I don't even know how to take a bite of this. I'll be honest with you. This is not my cup of tea. It's too big. It's too much. It's doing too much. But I'm going to try it because this is science. It's too much for me. It's cream cheese filling with the red velvet cookie dough with like a chocolate cookie dough, and there's like a cinnamon whole thing, and there's sea salt on the outside, because in the name of science, we got to dip it. We have to dip it. Okay. And then I'm done. Definitely dipped, it's better. The cream cheese is way too much for me. That was my least favorite. All right. Thank you for going on that adventure with me. Let's listen to more Terry Gross. Lots of flavors happening. Gonna drink some milk. The only one that's gluten-free, Natalie, was the peanut butter and jelly. That was the only gluten-free cookie. Oh wait, I gotta go back to this. I was like playing it. Let me go back 15 seconds. We did it. I feel much better. I needed some cookies. Let me put my glasses back on now that we did that. Let's get back to our program.
To carry out research projects and find out what LSD was, how people reacted to it, and how it might be able to be used as a tool for mind control. Now, the people who volunteered for these experiments and began taking LSD, in many cases found it very pleasurable. They told their friends about it. Who were those people? Ken Kesey, the author of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, got his LSD in an experiment sponsored by the CIA, by MK Ultra, by Sidney Gottlieb. So did Robert Hunter, the lyricist for the Grateful Dead, which went on to become a great purveyor of LSD culture. Allen Ginsberg, the poet who preached the value of the great personal adventure of using LSD, got his first LSD from Sidney Gottlieb, although, of course, he never knew that name. So CIA brought LSD to America unwittingly. And actually, it's a tremendous irony that the drug that the CIA hoped would be its key to controlling humanity actually...
Claudine, there's definitely something fishy with the Tylenol case. The cases. Multiple people died from that. It's really fishy. I need to rewatch it because I was too like out of it watching it. I was playing chess and stuff on my phone. But it's that guy got accused so many times. So anyway.
Fueling a generational rebellion that was dedicated to destroying everything that the CIA held dear and defended.
Even Timothy Leary, who turned a lot of people onto LSD and helped guide them through trips, he found out about LSD because of Sidney Gottlieb. He wasn't part of one of the experiments, but what's the connection?
You're absolutely right. Tim Leary, who became the great guru of LSD, first came across psychedelics through Sidney Gottlieb, although, like all these other people, he had never heard Gottlieb's name because Gottlieb lived in complete invisibility. So Tim Leary's interest in psychedelic drugs was sparked by an article that appeared in Life magazine in 1957. It was about a couple of Americans who had gone to Mexico and found the magic mushroom that produces hallucinations. Leary was fascinated by this. He later went to Mexico, and before he ever tried LSD, he was using those magic mushrooms. What he did not know and had no way of knowing is that that expedition to Mexico that produced the Life magazine article was paid for by Sidney Gottlieb and the CIA. It was part of his effort to test all kinds of substances, including naturally occurring ones like shrubs and trees and barks and mushrooms and fish parts and animal pieces as possible tools for mind control. So it's not surprising that later on in life, Tim Leary said the entire LSD movement was started by the CIA. If he had known better, he would have said it was founded by the CIA.
I also want to say, while we're doing this, I forgot to put before, we have a Patreon, The Edibles Club, and that is how all of this is made possible, also with Super Chats. So if you want to support this live stream, basically pay for my cookies. They were like $30. Then you can join the club. You can send a super chat. You can, oh, I should make sure I'm not just looking at the top chat, live chat. There we go. Oh, wait, community leaderboard. Cool. And I just wanted to let you know. That's all. Let's keep listening. Ooh.
Sidney Gottlieb.
So just so I understand this correctly, so the CIA basically set up phony philanthropic foundations, which then funded university and college research, and it's through those research experiments that people like Ginsberg and Kesey and Robert Hunter got introduced to LSD. And the university researchers had no idea that their research was actually being funded by the CIA.
I think that's largely correct. So Stanford University was running a program in which they asked for volunteers to come in and try this new substance. Allen Ginsberg was one of the volunteers. So was Robert Hunter. A similar set of experiments was going on at the Menlo Park Veterans Administration Hospital. That's where Ken Kesey took LSD for the first time. He was so excited about it, he took a job in the hospital and began stealing the LSD to give it to his friends. That became the basis for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So all of these original strands that came together in the 60s to produce this great countercultural revolt based around LSD can be traced back through these bogus foundations to the CIA and ultimately the director of MKUltra, Sidney Gottlieb.
Wow.
Now, there's a much darker side to this program because a lot of people who were being experimented on, they were prisoners. I mean, they had no idea what they were being given. One of those prisoners was the famous gangster Whitey Bulger, who was serving time then for hijacking a truck, and he was in the Atlanta penitentiary. So he actually wrote something describing his experience. Can you give us a summary of what he said?
Whitey Bulger was one of the prisoners who volunteered for what he was told was an experiment aimed at finding a cure for schizophrenia. As part of this experiment, he was given LSD every day for more than a year. He later realized that this had nothing to do with schizophrenia.
Yeah.
He was a guinea pig in a government experiment aimed at seeing what people's long-term reactions to LSD was. Essentially, could we make a person lose his mind by feeding him LSD every day over such a long period? Bulger wrote afterward about his experiences, which he described as quite horrific. He thought he was going insane. He wrote, I was in prison for committing a crime, but they committed a greater crime on me. And towards the end of his life, Bulger came to realize the truth of what had happened to him. And he actually told his friends that he was going to find that doctor in Atlanta who was the head of that experiment program in the penitentiary and go kill him. Now, that doctor later died a natural death, so Bulger didn't get to carry out his wish. But Bulger was one of many prisoners across America who unwittingly were fed huge doses of LSD. And the reason for this was very simple.
There you go.
Gottlieb wanted to create a way to seize control of people's minds. And he realized it was a two-part process. First, you had to blast away the existing mind. Second, you had to find a way to insert a new mind into that resulting void. Well, he didn't get too far on number two, but he did a lot of work on number one, trying to find out how to destroy the mind of a human being.
So sad.
And that was the purpose of experiments that he carried out in prisons in the United States and at secret detention centers in Europe and East Asia.
And he worked with some pretty high-class torturers, too, from one of the Nazi doctors and the chief poisoner from Japan during World War II. How did they end up in his program?
One of the most remarkable discoveries that I made in the research for this book is that the CIA mind control project, MKUltra, was essentially a continuation of work that began in Japanese and Nazi concentration camps. Not only was it roughly based on those experiments, but the CIA actually hired the vivisectionists and the torturers who had worked in Japan and in Nazi concentration
Oops, sorry, my AirPods fell out.
camps to come and explain what they had found out so that we could build on their research. For example, Nazi doctors had conducted extensive experiments with mescaline at the Dachau concentration camp.
Yeah, I bet.
And the CIA was very interested in figuring out whether mescaline could be the key to mind control. That was one of their big avenues of investigation. So they hired the Nazi doctors who had been involved in that project to advise them. Another thing the Nazis provided was information about poison gases like sarin, which is still being used. Nazi doctors came to America, to Fort Detrick in Maryland, which was the center of this project, to lecture to CIA officers to tell them how long it took for people to die from sarin. And was there a difference in how long it took to die if you were a small child or an infant, whether you were an elderly person or whether you were a healthy middle-aged person? The only way to know this would be to have killed all those people.
Right.
The CIA was...
Okay. Is this overwhelming for people? Let me know. We can always change it. I mean, it's pretty horrible, right? So they were just, and who were they experimenting on? Poor people, basically you trust no one ever. I mean, this is just what, it's funny because the Republicans try to say they're small government, but the way they're operating, they're not. But yeah, I don't know what to say.
This kind of information. And actually, one of the things that is the most bizarre about the fact that we relied on Nazi doctors is that Sidney Gottlieb himself was Jewish, and his parents had emigrated from Central Europe in the early 20th century. If they had not emigrated, Sidney Gottlieb might well himself have been brought up in Central Europe, forced into a ghetto, brought to a concentration camp, and become the subject of one of these grotesque Nazi medical experiments. Nonetheless, he didn't seem to have any problem working as a CIA officer with the doctors who conducted those experiments.
Yeah, I found that pretty hard to understand. But, also Kurt Blom, one of the Nazi doctors who was hired by Sidney Gottlieb, was on trial in Nuremberg. He was acquitted, but he was one of the Nazi doctors who was tried. And the Nuremberg Code established that if you are conducting experiments, that the person you are experimenting on needs to give informed consent.
Right.
And of course, MKUltra totally violated the Nuremberg Code, but apparently the U.S. never signed on to that, never adapted that.
If the United States had used the Nuremberg Code domestically, Sidney Gottlieb would never have been able to do what he did. There couldn't have been MKUltra. What Sidney Gottlieb did is exactly what we sentenced Nazi doctors to death after the Second World War for doing in concentration camps.
Right.
It wasn't just a question of administering these super high doses of LSD for very extended periods of time. There was also like questioning and other kind of testing that went along with the administration of these high doses. Tell us about that.
Gottlieb and the CIA established secret detention centers throughout Europe and East Asia, particularly in Japan, Germany, and the Philippines, which were largely under American control in the period of the early 50s, and therefore Gottlieb didn't have to worry about any legal entanglements.
Okay, I think that's enough about this asshole. We're ready to move on. We had a little cookie interlude. Dan Fernandez, George Bush Sr. was one of the head of the CIA during the assassination of JFK that occurred in Texas. Yikes. All right. Now we're gonna look at a different topic. Okay. All within the same topic of government cover-ups. We're going to look at the war on drugs, historical context, and its potential use as a tool for political and social control. So let's look at this. All right. The Drug War is the New Jim Crow by Graham Boyd. This is the ACLU. Let me see how long this is. Do you guys mind me reading this? This is too long for me to read. I don't think I want to read this. It's too long and I don't think we know what this is going to say. I would rather watch a video, so let's see if I can find a video on
What does the ACLU think about the war on drugs? Have you ever wondered how the war on drugs affects our society? The American Civil Liberties Union, often referred to as ACLU, has some strong opinions on this topic. They see the war on drugs as a failed approach that has led to serious issues in the criminal justice system. Over the past 40 years, the United States has spent trillions of dollars on this initiative, yet drug use and addiction rates have not decreased.
Right.
Instead,
Won't you be seated, please, ladies and gentlemen?
This is like they're scared to come up here, like they know something bad is about to happen.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to summarize for you the meeting that I have just had with the bipartisan leaders, which began at 8 o'clock and was completed 2 hours later. I began the meeting by making this statement, which I think needs to be made to the nation. America's public enemy number one in the United States is drug abuse.
You motherfucker.
That's so frustrating. In 1971, the number one public enemy was poverty. In 1971, the number one public enemy was the fact that folks didn't have access to health care. Folks didn't have access to decent
still is, though.
Wages. Folks didn't have access to riding the same buses. How dare you say public enemy number one is drug abuse when poverty is staring you in the face?
In order to fight and defeat this enemy, it is necessary to wage a new all-out offensive. I have asked the Congress to provide the legislative authority and the funds to fuel this kind of an offensive. This will be a worldwide offensive dealing with the problems of sources of supply as well as Americans who may be stationed abroad wherever they are in the world. It will be government-wide, pulling together the 9 different fragmented areas within the government in which this problem is now being handled. And it will be nationwide in terms of a new educational program that we trust will result as from the discussions that we have had.
What a weird guy is right, Alan.
Fighting an addiction with a war. Like, in my opinion, he was a failed president in terms of being a war president. So he's trying to make up for the Vietnam War by creating a war. And it's just amazing to me the earnestness that he's approaching this, as if, this invisible enemy is ravaging the streets of America, and we're going to use guns, police, and prisons to attack this war.
That deal with the problems of rehabilitation, in which his primary responsibilities will be research and education, and see.
You see how he stumbled over his words? Because he knew he was lying in. And if you look back historically, the only research that was done was by the FBI to determine who they were going to attack next, from Billie Holiday to the Black Panthers, from James Brown to Stokely Carmichael. Research and education went into determining how much money they could spend on cops, how much money they could spend.
At the same time, inner cities were filled with factories, landfills, and billboards advertising menthol cigarettes. I know the hypocrisy of it all.
On prisons, and at some point it became, how much can we make off of incarcerating folks, and what is the profit margin? That's where the research went into. The research and the education went into the profit margin that we're going to gain from incentivizing the incarceration of Black and brown people as a result of a drug addiction.
In order to defeat this enemy, which is causing such great concern, and correctly so, to so many American families, money will be provided to the extent that it is necessary and to the extent that it will be useful. And finally, in order for this program to be effective, it is necessary that it be conducted on a basis in which the American people all join in it. That's why the meeting was bipartisan. Bipartisan because we needed the support of the Congress, but bipartisan because we needed the leadership of members of the Congress in this field.
Now, the only thing that resulted from those discussions is a lot of Black folks being sent to prison.
Yeah.
A lot of Black folks being sentenced to horrendous amounts of time. We saw decimation of communities. We saw, in the 80s, we saw crack take over Los Angeles as a result of fighting drugs. Drugs were introduced. We saw a multitude of ways that that sentence alone created a pathway to billions of dollars being spent over the years in a so-called effort to fight drugs, where all we did was contribute to the deterioration of Black and brown communities across the country.
One final word with regard to presidential responsibility in this respect. I very much hesitate always to bring some new responsibility into the White House, because there are so many here, and I believe in delegating those responsibilities to the departments. But I consider this problem so urgent. I also found that it was scattered so much throughout the government, with so much conflict, without coordination, that it had to be brought
What is
into
up
the
in
White
the
House,
sky?
and consequently, I have brought Dr. Jaffe into the White House, directly reporting to me, so that we have not only the responsibility but the authority to see that we wage this defense effectively and in a coordinated way. The briefing team will now be ready to answer any questions on the technical details of the program.
Don't nobody up there look like they're ready to ask. Nobody move towards that mic. Like, everybody kind of stay on the back like, I'm not going up there to talk after that. It's funny, I was born in 1970.
What's with the shades?
Looking at this press conference.
Hi, Eddie.
50 years later, watching my...
What's with the shades? It's because in case the agency's watching, you know, it's on topic. We're trying to be undercover, covert. Okay.
My family being decimated by the war on drugs, communities were literally destroyed
Okay, so 70% of you said no to $10,000 to basically be in a government experiment, and 30% of you said yes. So, you know, I get it. Interesting poll. Yeah, I'm playing a role right now. It also just feels a little better on my eyeballs.
As a result of this press conference, it's hard for me to watch how much it looks like he is earnestly delivering what we thought was a solution, and it turns out to have been the exact thing that has led to the estimation of Black and brown communities for the last
Very
50
low.
years.
Well, he's done. Yeah, I agree with him. I agree with him 100%. What are you saying? Okay. All right. So I think we can agree that the war on drugs I want to see if there's another video we could watch. Copy. I don't know if this is good, so bear with me.
Hi, I'm Clint Smith, and this is Crash Course Black American History.
Okay,
let's
watch this.
Every nation's government has to create policies. Policies are plans that detail what the government wants to achieve. Some of those policies have good outcomes, and sometimes not so good. Today, we're going to talk about the war on drugs, a policy initiative that has gone on for years. It was designed, ostensibly, to stop drug use and drug dealing across the United States. But what ended up happening is that it entangled millions of Black people in the criminal legal system for generations. For some people, this was an adverse consequence of a well-intentioned policy. But for others, this is exactly what they wanted the policy to do.
Right.
Don't believe me? Well, you might soon. Let's start the show.
Let's start it.
The official war on drugs started in Richard Nixon's presidency in the early 1970s, and according to many activists, continues on to this day. Though, officially, it hasn't been as much of a national obsession since the end of Bill Clinton's presidency. It was an initiative promoted by the federal government and multiple presidents of both political parties that aimed to stop the use, distribution, and trade of illegal drugs. But the thing is, a big part of how this was implemented was by stricter, more severe prison sentences in an effort to deter drug dealers and users. But the outcomes of the war on drugs...
Natalie, I don't really know either, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know. I didn't do it, so I don't know what it's about. Maybe I clicked something when I set up the live stream.
Shows that even if you don't explicitly mention race in a policy, you may still be making a policy about race. Sometimes that's intentional, and sometimes it's not. In order to understand the war on drugs, we have to talk about the origins of the criminalization of Black communities. As we've discussed, this has been consistent throughout American history. But debates on how to address drug use in society began to affect Black communities more directly in the 1960s. Even though President Lyndon B. Johnson is best known for his Great Society legislation and passing the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, he also declared what was called a war on crime in March of 1965. The war on crime was not exactly the same as the war on drugs, but it put in place many of the same powers that would eventually make the war on drugs as expansive and devastating as it was. The war on crime produced the Law Enforcement Assistance Act, which in 1965 authorized the federal government to take a direct role in militarizing local police. Then, the Safe Streets Act of 1968 invested $400 million in the war on crime and created the Law Enforcement Assistance Administration to oversee the funding. Most of it went to supervise and surveil low-income urban communities, even though those communities weren't the only places that crime and drugs could be found.
What are you smoking on, Vanessa? Raquel, right now I'm smoking, no, not this gastropop. I've been smoking Harmony Rose from Emerald Spirit. It's farm cut. That's what I've been smoking.
But low-income urban communities are where Black people often lived. These policies and research, like the Moynihan Report,
Jaden.
a report on the poverty in Black communities, served to develop and spread stereotypes about Black urban poverty. They said that the tangle of poverty and drug use was largely the result of individual and cultural flaws. The Moynihan Report said that, quote, at the heart of the deterioration of the fabric of Negro society is the deterioration of the Negro family. It is the fundamental source of the weakness of the Negro community at the present time. Moynihan acknowledged racism still played a role, but seemed to think that the real issue was the structure of Black families, which, given all the structural impediments Black people were facing, just seems off base. All of this helped lead to the end of the previous war on poverty and shaped the rationale.
They weren't even secretive about it. They were blatant with their racism.
Legislation and policies for the war on crime. Grassroots organizations like the Black Panther Party caught on to what was going on pretty quickly and organized to protect Black communities from the police violence that followed from being over-policed. Black Americans were brutally beaten and harassed by law enforcement, and many of them lost their lives. They also realized the importance of political organizing and cultural power during these times. So they created breakfast programs and community schools in an attempt to provide the resources for themselves that they felt the government wasn't providing them. The war on drugs formally began during the Nixon presidency. He was the first person to use the term war on drugs and stated that drug abuse was, quote, public enemy number one. President Nixon increased federal funding for drug control agencies, and in 1973,
look at my
he established the Drug Enforcement Administration, or the DEA, a special police force targeting illicit drug use and drug smuggling. The Nixon administration also categorized marijuana as a Schedule I drug, which is the most restrictive drug category in the United States.
Schedule I.
Meaning punishments for being found with that drug would be severe. During Jimmy Carter's presidency, there were some efforts to make drug policy slightly less punitive. Between 1973 and 1977, 11 states did decriminalize marijuana possession. But the war on drugs was far from over. In the 1980s, President Ronald Reagan brought back many of the drug possession and distribution policies of the Nixon administration. The First Lady, Nancy Reagan, even started her famous Just Say No campaign, which was intended to address the dangers of drug use. The Reagan administration also pushed for smaller government more broadly, arguing that the expansion of social resources like welfare programs and increased funding for community programming contributed to a sense of over-reliance and exacerbated perceived social failings. During Reagan's administration is when we see some of the most severe policies related to drug use in U.S. history. They passed harsh penalties at the federal level and encouraged state legislators to implement these harsh penalties as well. This led to a massive increase of incarceration for nonviolent drug crimes, and these policies disproportionately impacted Black and Latino communities. And many argue that the Reagan administration did actually intend to make some of these policies about race. I mean, they created the welfare queen stereotype, a harmful caricature of a Black woman who used welfare checks and child rearing to take money from the government. While never actually saying that the welfare queen was Black, Reagan relied on pretty racist language to promote this idea and used similar language while promoting the war on drugs. In 1986, Congress passed the Anti-Drug Abuse Act, which also had very harmful implications for Black and brown communities. It created longer prison sentences for individuals who used crack cocaine, which was typically used by Black Americans, and shorter prison sentences for those who used powder cocaine, which was typically used by white Americans.
Yeah.
For example, if a person had 5 grams of crack, it would trigger an automatic 5-year sentence. But a person had to have 500 grams of powder cocaine to trigger the same sentence. So these war on drug policies had a disproportionate impact on communities of color, because it wasn't just Black people using drugs. A lot of people were using drugs, people of all races and all backgrounds. But the presidential administrations in the United States disproportionately targeted and penalized Black and brown Americans for drug use, and penalizing them more severely than they did their white counterparts. To be clear, crack cocaine had a devastating impact on the Black community. It created addictions, deaths, and drug-related crimes, hamstringing many vibrant communities of color. But it is important to address why this was happening. There were huge structural changes happening within cities. This led to white flight, deindustrialization, loss of employment, rise of low-paying service jobs, and general urban blight. Many Black middle-class families also left the cities for the suburbs as well. The loss of jobs and services in the inner cities led to the growth of alternative economies. It also led to crime and social dislocation. And it was the combination of all of these social, economic, and political forces that contributed to the devastation of drugs on the Black urban community. It wasn't just individual failings. It wasn't culture. During the Clinton administration, the Violent Crime Control Act allowed for over 9.
Stone is crazy. That guy is so nuts, Roger Stone. He's really wild. But yes, I believe you that Nixon told Trump in the 80s that he should be president per Roger Stone. I believe that. I know. How the drugs get in the Black community, do we know? Pretty sure it was the CIA.
$9 billion to be allotted for prison construction in the U.S. and $8 billion for 100,000 police officers. There was also an expansion of the federal death penalty, mandatory minimum sentencing, and truth in sentencing incentives to encourage states to advocate for harsher punishments without parole. This is also when the 3 strikes provision was promoted in the United States. This meant that a defendant might get a life sentence for almost any crime, no matter how minor, if they had 2 prior convictions that were considered a violent offense. All of these policies created a huge increase in incarceration for nonviolent drug offenses, going from 50,000 in 1980 to 400,000 in 1997. A disproportionate amount of these incarcerated folks were Black Americans. And after all this, the war on drugs didn't even decrease drug use.
No, of course
Some people
not.
pushed back against the criticism of the war on drugs and the subsequent consequences of mass incarceration by saying that Black Americans supported it. But that sort of take is rooted in kind of misremembering the past. As the scholars Elizabeth Hinton, Jalili Kohler-Hausman, and Veshla M. Weaver have written, calls for tough sentencing and police protection were paired with calls for full employment, quality education, and drug treatment, and criticism of police brutality. It's not just that those demands were ignored completely. It's that some elements were elevated and others were diminished. When Blacks ask for better policing, legislators tend to hear more instead. Most experts today agree that the war on drugs was a failure. It didn't decrease the number of drugs used in many communities, and it actually had some pretty awful consequences.
That's right,
It was
Paca.
a catalyst that produced the carceral state, a term that, in part, describes the billions of dollars the U.S. government filters into the criminal justice system, which disproportionately affects people of color. That money goes to the budgets of police, sheriffs, judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys, and even prison staff. Here are some of the stats of what the war on drugs actually did. One FBI study noted that while Blacks represented only 12% of all illegal drug users. They made up 41% of those arrested on cocaine and heroin charges. Women, disproportionately black women, are the fastest growing incarcerated population in the United States.
Terrible.
Since 1970, America's incarcerated population has increased by 500%, resulting in over 2 million people in jail and prison today. And despite being only 5% of the global population, the U.S. contains roughly 20% of the world's prison population. According to studies, today, black and white people use and sell illicit drugs at similar rates. But black people are roughly 2.6 times more likely to get arrested for drug crimes. And I've seen this firsthand. I've taught in prisons where young men have been locked up for doing the same things that some of my white college classmates did.
Probably what I'm doing right now.
The difference is that one group was targeted and another group wasn't. And oftentimes, that's what decides who ends up in a prison and who ends up free.
Right.
Thanks for watching.
That was highly informative. That was great. Natalie's definitely shared how the war on drugs has affected their community. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. Ask for help, got police state and stop and frisk. See? By the mid-90s crime, yeah, that was really bad. The stop and frisk was really bad. Okay. We're going to look at our final topic this evening. UFOs, Area 51, and government secrecy. So we're going to explore the government handling of UFO sightings and the secrecy surrounding Area 51. All right, the time has come. We're going to, let's look at it. Actually, I don't know if I can open this. Let me see. Let me open you. Are you going to give me a pay to play bullshit? All right. The real history of Area 51 and its alien conspiracy theories.
Even a life that's...
We won't listen to that. This is a transcript of the video, so we're not going to read it. I'm just going to let it play. Everyone, this is good. We've got a nice community here going. Good conversation. Planet Rock Iced Tea YouTube. Okay, well, I'm not going to watch that right now, but this is loud.
In the early 1950s, U.S. planes were conducting low-flying recon missions over the USSR, but there were constant worries of them being spotted and shot down. So, in 1954, President Eisenhower authorized the development of a top-secret, high-altitude recon aircraft, dubbed Project Aquatone. The program required a remote location that wasn't easily accessible to civilians or spies.
Okay.
Area 51 fit the bill perfectly.
Wow.
It was in the Nevada desert near a salt flat called Groom Lake. No one knows exactly why it's called Area 51.
Snippy.
But one theory suggests it
Okay, you have to tell me more about Snippy, Fraggle Rock.
Came from its proximity to the Nevada nuclear test sites. The Nevada test site was divided into number-designated areas by the Atomic Energy Commission. The location was already familiar territory for the military.
Join our club.
As it had served as a World War II aerial gunnery range. In the summer of 1955, sightings of unidentified flying objects were reported around Area 51. That's because the Air Force had begun its testing of the U-2 aircraft. The U-2 can fly higher than 60,000 feet. At the time, normal airliners were flying in the 10,000 to 20,000 feet range, while military aircraft topped out at around 40,000 feet. So if a pilot spotted the tiny speck that was the U-2 high above it, they would have no idea what it was. And they would usually let air traffic control know someone was out there, which is what led to the increase of UFO sightings in the area. While Air Force officials knew the UFO sightings were U-2 tests, they couldn't really tell the public. So they explained the aircraft sightings by saying they were natural phenomena and high-altitude weather research. The testing of the U-2 ended in the late 1950s, but Area 51 has continued to serve as the testing ground for many aircraft, including the F-117A, the A-12, and the Tacit Blue.
Ooh.
No one knows for sure what Area 51 is up to these days. The government never even publicly acknowledged the existence of the base until 2013, with the release of declassified
I don't want to hear about
reports.
Snippy.
But if you're ever at the Las Vegas airport, keep an eye out for some small, unmarked passenger planes in a fenced-off area.
Oh my
They're
God.
how Area 51 employees get to work from their homes in
What?
Vegas.
That's really cool. Okay, that was cool, right? Okay. Let's see what this is, okay? I don't know if it's good.
We are not alone, maybe. In an interview presented in a News Nation special report, Confessions of a UFO Hunter, News Nation special correspondent Ross Colhart spoke with Luis Elizondo, a former senior intelligence official and special agent who made international headlines when he revealed the Pentagon's secret UFO program in a bombshell New York Times story. During the special, Mr. Elizondo spoke of the government's knowledge of other life forms. Let's watch.
We've been recovering spacecraft. Alien spacecraft.
The United States has been involved in the recovery of objects, vehicles of unknown origin that are neither from our country or any other foreign country that we're aware of.
Alien bodies, biologics.
We as a nation have been interested in not only the vehicles themselves, but the occupants of these vehicles to include biological specimens.
Aliens, non-human intelligences, are real, and they have been engaging with humanity.
Ross, we're not alone. We are not alone in this universe, and it is a simple fact. And the U.S. government has been aware of that fact now for decades.
The full special airs tonight on News Nation at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Joining us now to discuss it all is a journalist who has spent a lot of time covering UFOs at News Nation, correspondent Brian Enton. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, Brian, News Nation really started reporting on the UFO issue last year with the David Grush interview. How does this new conversation move the story forward?
Yeah, well, I think we get more details from Elizondo. Our big exclusive with David Grush obviously opened up a huge can of worms. You had the hearings on Capitol Hill and all sorts of new questions about what the government really knows. But Elizondo is sort of the original whistleblower. He came forward years ago. He was actually running the program in the Pentagon that investigates UFOs and says that he became just like so upset that they weren't taking these things seriously. He felt like he was being stonewalled.
All right, I got to stop the live stream for a second, okay? I got to stop the live stream. How many are you here? There's 30 of you. So about 40% of you don't have my cookbook. What's the math on that? 50% would be 15. So about 10 of you do not have my cookbook. What do I got to do, you guys? What do I got to do to get you to get my cookbook? Oh, where did it go? I just had it. And I was showing it off. And what did I do with it? I didn't think I put it that far. I lost it. Where did my cookbook go? I have to show you again. I don't know what I did with it, though. Like, where did I put it? I don't know where the copy I just had went. We're not going to worry about it. But what I am worried about Oh, yeah, that's right, Petra. Look at me, stoner. You guys are so funny. It's on the bed, but I've got another one in my hands. So, because I put so much work into this cookbook. Let me take my glasses off for this. It's not a bullshit cookbook. There is a lot of science, graphs, charts. How long does it take to make canna butter? How long does it take to make coconut oil? All of it. And then how to calculate a dose for an edible. I know I'm losing you. But Jaden just needs monies. Okay, but I just want to say this. Amazon has it for like $23 right now. And they run that discount when it's, like it's selling. And they'll take it away if it doesn't keep selling. But there's all sorts of really great recipes in here. Alcohol. I did alcohol infusion by proof. So you could see like how many milligrams infused in 80 proof, 120 proof, 190 proof. There's a 120 proof tincture infusion rate. Really beautiful photos in here. Coconut oil is super easy. And you can take oil higher than butter because butter, if you take butter higher, it'll brown. It starts to brown, which I have a recipe for brown butter in here as well. But for other oils or like ghee, you can take it higher. And so you can infuse it at the same temperature that you decarboxylate. Why not? So that increases the infusion rate and it doesn't take as long as if you did. Christy has two. Got one for me, one for a friend. Look at Christy. Okay? So is coconut milk. Al Digi, do you have my cookbook? Because if you had my cookbook, you would know that I did the infusion rate of coconut milk. And it does not have a full infusion. Did you know that? You won't get a full infusion when you infuse coconut milk. Unless you're using like hash but that's a different story. We're talking about cooking with flour here. When you move on to concentrates, all of that goes out the window because it just can go directly into whatever fat you're whisking it into once the concentrate is decarboxylated. But if you're cooking with flour, coconut milk will not give you a full infusion. So you should have my cookbook if you want to know what the infusion rates are for milk, for oils, for butter, for alcohol at different proofs, all of that, and how long it takes. So $23, something like that on Amazon right now. Let me see what it is. It's $20-something on Amazon. $24.13. Okay? It's $24.13 on Amazon right now is how much my book is. The ranking of it, you can actually see the ranking. It has 50 5-star reviews. Thank you very much, everybody. Right now, so I can tell it's actually gone up. So someone's bought a book during this time that we've been live. The bestseller ranking is all underneath the product details. You can see where it ranks. And right now it's the 30,686th in books. Out of all the books on Amazon, it's in 30,000, which is not bad. My highest it's been was 1,300 in all books, and that was 420. And there was a big article about me in the LA Times. Thank you, Adam Shorn. So yeah, it's pretty cool. You can see how ordering the book impacts it. And then maybe Amazon, if it does well enough, Amazon will actually promote my book, because like, you know, their editors can be like, I like this book. They would never do that, but they could. Oh, this book is actually trying to educate people and is here to make sure people don't have a bad time on edibles. Gosh, heaven forbid people enjoy themselves. Anyway, so please, if you can, that's a lot of people who are here in this live stream who don't have the cookbook. So, do you like hemp milk? Not really. Ramona, the index shows you can make 23 different things at least with the canna butter alone. Beautiful pics. Oh yeah, the canna butter. The canna butter, because I did so much lab testing on it, the canna butter, I really was surprised. And I was so surprised, I was like, let me run that again, because I don't believe it. And then I ran it again, and I was like, holy shit. Anyway, thank you. I appreciate that, XG. You know, it's been a little tough, I'll be honest with you, because it's frustrating to put so much work and time. Like, I put that my advance that I got from my publisher. They give you an advance when you get a book deal. Often authors will take it and like that's what they'll live on. I put that all into the book. That went into lab testing. It went into recipe testing. It went into photography. That's why the photography looks so amazing. I did not cut any corners with the photography. I wanted it to be really beautiful. I just feel like cannabis always gets the short end of the stick, and it should be treated with a lot of respect. It's a wonderful plant, has a lot of medicinal benefits, and a lot more research needs to be done on it. I just scratched the surface. I could have run 1,000 more lab tests on cooking with weed, because there's just so much more you can do with it, you know. But I did a lot, and I did a lot more than any other cannabis cookbook out there. Not to like, you know, they help move things forward too. We're everyone who is helping to talk about this plant is helping the community, and that's what we want. This book is special and is for my former self. It's for everyone who loves edibles. I wished there was a book like this out in the world when I started making edibles. This did not exist, and it hasn't existed until today. So if you can, are you interested in taking a huge ass rip to end the stream? It's not over. The stream is not over. What are you talking about, man? Is this your first time here? We're still learning about aliens. What are you talking about? I'll take another rip, but we're not going anywhere. I'm gonna play this guy. I'm gonna get some more water. Don't you guys go anywhere. We're still learning about aliens. And then we have to decide what I'm gonna cook next Saturday, because the cotton candy was a major hit. Okay. I ran into the owner of my local dispensary yesterday. I was so bummed that I didn't have the book on me yesterday, but I showed her the Amazon link. Awesome. And High Seas just reached out to me because they wanted to pick up the book. So I got to email them back too. Let me get some water. I'm going to play him and I can still hear.
That he left his job and has now gone public with his story. And you can tell in the interview that he did with Ross, I mean, he's very, very careful about what he's saying. We saw the same thing with David Grush, is because both of them still hold these national security clearances. They had the top level clearances. They have to be careful about what they say. A lot of what they say, they have to run through the Pentagon to see if they're allowed to actually talk about it. So Elizondo is careful. You know, you can tell there's more he wants to reveal that he won't. But still, you'll see in the special tonight, it's 9 o'clock Eastern on News Nation. He says a lot.
Yeah, our viewers know that I have a lot of skepticism of these stories precisely because of the withholding that takes place from the people who are interviewed. They say they can't explain, it's a security, it's a clearance matter, it's a legal matter, but okay, but if you were the person to reveal where the physical evidence, the physical remains of alien life is being kept, I mean, there's physical evidence to the things they're alleging, not just that, right, that lights have been seen in the skies by various people, but that there's some remains that's in a warehouse, that's in the possession of the government. Well, then my next question is always, well, where and why can't you tell me? Your reasons that you can't tell me don't seem as significant as the fact that if you did explain, this would be the most, important revelation in all of human history, and you're saying there's some technical legal reason you can't give me more? It raises my, my BS meter.
Yeah, no, I get it. That's fair, Robbie. And look, I'm a skeptic too. I think it's healthy to go into these stories as a skeptic, just like you would as any other story. Elizondo, he does give more information about locations than other people that we've interviewed in the past, which was interesting. And you're going to see in the special, I mean, he talks about Health and Human Services and says that they had some of these, they call them biologics. So, when you hear like they have aliens, you think like the movies and all of the little creatures that we've seen on TV, but that's not necessarily the case. I mean, he talks about the fact that some of these biologics may have come from beneath the ocean. They may not even be coming from outer space. And a biologic, it could be something as small as, like something they found on a rock. It's just something that scientists have discovered is non-human and is evidence that there's something else out there. And in terms of locations, I mean, he does give a few. I mean, he makes clear that he doesn't know where this evidence, these biologics are being held right now at the moment, but he talks about the Department of Health and Human Services, and he names a couple of other U.S. agencies too. He says that they've been passed around from agency to agency over the years so that different experts, can study them, try to figure out exactly what these things are.
Now, I have to say, I'm a skeptic that aliens aren't real. I think it's more likely than not that we're not alone in the universe. And there are so many people who have been whistleblowers who have risked losing their careers, losing their security clearance over what they're telling the public because they feel it's so important. And Lou said he really stuck his neck out to share this story. He left his Pentagon job and lost his family home. Can you tell us about that?
He was in the highest pay bracket for a federal employee. He was making a good living. He was at the top of his field in terms of being, an intelligence officer. He was the head of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Program, which studies UFOs. But again, he says he became so frustrated with the fact that he didn't believe that the government was really letting them go far enough, and he felt like there was a cover-up going on, which is something we also heard from David Grush, that that the government, that there's a secret part of the government that knows these secrets and doesn't want them exposed. That whether that reason is national security, that's something that Elizondo talks about tonight. I mean, there's this claim that you've got different governments trying to replicate the technology of some of these UFOs for national defense, which goes back to Robbie's point. I mean, that could be one reason that it is all kept so secret still. I mean, let's not forget, I mean, you had these hearings, real hearings on Capitol Hill, lawmakers on both sides, Democrats and Republicans, coming forward and saying we're trying to get information and we feel like we're being stonewalled. So, is it really like aliens, like I said, from the movies, and do they really have some crash craft? We don't know, but it does appear that there's something that they're keeping secret.
Yeah, the government withholding information is a totally plausible aspect of this. We know that the government, for instance, knows more about the origins of COVID than they have disclosed, even when everyone in Congress and the president vote for and sign a bill saying more disclosures here. We still don't get them because there's this level of knee-jerk secrecy. So that part is totally understandable. You brought up, the flurry of hearings of congressional interest and activity that took place a few months ago as a result of a lot of the great reporting that News Nation did on this front.
Interesting.
Was there any, where was that left off? What did anything come of that? There was, a lot of frustration on the part of the Congress members asking questions and looking into it. Was there some mandate for action that came out of it?
So, I mean, the Pentagon now has a program where they say they're going to investigate anyone from within the government who comes forward and says that they have information about UFOs that they feel like is being covered up. So that's something new. There's also going to be more hearings. Apparently, we've heard that for a while, but they've been in the planning stages. Obviously, there's a lot going on right now in politics and with the presidential election. So, that may be part of the delay. But, if you watch the hearings, I mean, there's videos out there that the Pentagon has released themselves. I mean, there's the Tic Tac video. You guys have seen it. It's like that little Tic Tac looking object that the fighter pilots were able to film out over the ocean. They saw it twice. They saw it one time off the coast of Florida, one time off the coast of California. And the Pentagon has released those videos and said, we don't know what this thing is. It's clearly not technology that the U.S. government has. I mean, the way that it's flying, you can tell it, it descends like 50,000 feet. I forget how many seconds. I mean, it's not something that our planes could do. So, they've released some of the videos themselves and said, we don't know what these things are. So it's interesting when you really start to think about it.
So, Brian, that interview with Lou Elizondo looks like a bombshell interview. Can you give us a preview of what else we can expect in this special tonight?
Yeah, so basically, he goes through, and again, he's got the national security clearances. He has to be careful about what he can say, but he talks about the program that he was a part of. He talks about the way that he feels he was stonewalled. He talks about where he believes the crashed craft, the biologics, were held within the government. He also talks about these private companies and their role in all of this. And he names names, which a lot of other people haven't done in the past. Companies like Lockheed Martin, Boeing. What a lot of these whistleblowers say is that there's these private contracts with these companies over the years, which have helped to keep the secret and helped to keep it out of the government.
I messaged her, but I doubt she'll respond to me, and I commented on her video. She's like, I like to support women, but you know what I mean. You never know.
The government being in full control and there being disclosure. So he talks a lot about that, and he talks about what his family has gone through since he came forward. Again, losing his job, and sort of the implications of all of that. So the special is at 9:00 Eastern tonight, Friday night, and then we've got a live special which I'm anchoring at 10:00, where we're going to have a panel of experts to kind of go over what Elizondo said. How believable is it? That kind of thing. So it should be an interesting night. Especially if you're sick of politics by now. It's something you can get your mind off the DNC for one night.
Yes, this is a very refreshing palate cleanser. Thank you so much, Brian, for previewing that for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
Alan,
thank you, guys.
tell your friend to get it to Chelsea. I tried. Okay, so that was interesting. All right, everybody. Let's go back to our main. Oh, the bonbon cam is still there. She's gone. She's long gone, that dog. Let me pack this bowl before we go. I thought this was very interesting, and that, now all these people want to come in. Where'd you all come from? Now you're just coming here all of a sudden? You think you can just join the live when I'm about to say goodnight? And you just want to come and hang out with us? Where have you been? Hi, Petra. Brian. Alien adjacent. My dad believes in Bigfoot so much he bought a footstep casting and put it in his living room. Most people think he's joking. That's funny. Check out Dr. Stephen Greer when you have a chance. Vanessa Luis Elizondo is said to be a plant. What? Dr. Stephen Greer. Luis Elizondo. Okay, let's get back to, whoops, no, this. We'll watch this really quickly.
Well, you mentioned Luis Elizondo a few times. So there was a second congressional meeting that happened in, I think, November of 2024. And
Yep.
Luis Elizondo was one of the 4 experts that spoke on this.
Japan.
What exactly is your issue with Luis?
I don't know him, and I have no animus towards him personally at all. I just know that the top CIA guy in the last 40 years, who advises us, who's very clandestine, immediately when he surfaced said, this is the master of disinformation, and these are the things he's going to be saying that are false. So what I tell people, I don't have a problem with anybody, but I have a problem with someone deliberately providing false information to novices, people who are just trying to investigate this with the best of intentions, like Ms. Luna and others, and they are being gaslit and deceived. That's my problem. But my bigger problem is that what is the agenda of that deception? The agenda of the deception is to get people on the side of an alien threat, to supports the same cabal that's been keeping the secret, right? And at the same time, present something that would be much more terrifying than 9/11 or COVID, and try to seize control of people's freedoms under this, sort of ruse of a threat from outer space.
He could be a
So,
Fed. Interesting.
long before I got on the stage doing this, I think that had already been baked into the cake, because they started abducting people and doing cattle mutilations in the late 50s and 60s. The
Where
first
in Italy?
mutilated animal was a horse named Snippy. And the doctor
Snippy.
who was called in on that, a hematologist pathologist from Denver, was a very good friend of mine. And I went out to his home, and he says, that was absolutely a covert human operation. But of course, then you get people who write books like Linda Moulton Howe, an alien harvest, and they're harvesting body parts. Yeah, they are, but it's not ETs. It's a covert human program. So
Right.
I think the hardest thing, that I've had to deal with,
Good night, JL.
and I was warned about this in 1991 by an old CIA hand, a different guy.
That's cute.
He was a character.
See
He's
you.
like this chain smoking,
See you Saturday.
looked like the cigarette man in X-Files, and long hair, and he said, "Look, the truth about this is so much stranger than the fiction ufologists believe and that the public believe, and it's going to be the hardest thing, and it's so strange it covers itself. So, and if you expose the truth, you will discredit yourself, because no one wants to hear that truth. They want to hear the narrative we've been selling since the 50s. And that's true. I mean, it's a very frustrating situation. And so my problem with anyone in this field is that if they don't know what they're talking about, they should be quiet. If they do know what they're talking about and they're spreading disinformation and covering up some of the facts of this, then I have a real problem with them, and I will call them out. I'd call out anyone who would go in that direction, whether it's the President of the United States or whoever it is, because you cannot let this happen. If this happens, we'd be looking at a catastrophic global situation.
Okay. All right. I don't want to watch more. All right, everybody. My sugar high has worn off. I'm going to take another bong hit, and before we say goodnight, I'm going to drop in the club chat. Our club, our group, our Patreon, the Edibles Club. Sorry, that took me a second. Tonight was fun. We covered a lot of shit, I feel like. We talked about, what was the first thing? MK Ultra, very interesting, very sad, very fucked up. We talked about the war on drugs, also very fucked up and very sad. And then we talked a little bit about UFOs in Area 51. Obviously, we could go on a deeper dive into all of those topics, and maybe we'll come back to this topic at a later time. But I had a lot of fun putting my sunglasses on. I also really enjoyed these Brady's Bakery, Los Angeles. I'm here to say Brady's Bakery is nice if you want a cookie that is visually impressive and not too sweet. Great options. I had a good time with that. So thanks everyone for hanging out and eating cookies with me and learning learning new shit. I think next week we'll make a pasta, and maybe I'll poll my Patreon, the Edibles Club, to see what kind of pasta we'll make that will infuse with cannabis, because that's what I fucking do. Okay? That's what I do. All right? What are we doing on Saturday? I think we're going to do a pasta, Petra. We're going to do a pasta, get my cookbook, How to Eat Weed and Have a Good Time. I'm right there on the back. Look, it's me. Isn't that funny? Anyway, there's 80 great recipes in this book. Mother infusions, decarboxylation rates, snacks, drinks. There's menu party ideas. There's gummies. There's, Zoot by the foot. Look at that. That's a beautiful photo. It's fun to look at too. Like, you just want this on your shelf. People will be like, what's that? And you're like, oh, it's How to Eat Weed and Have a Good Time. And then they'll go, ha 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 ha. That's a good title. That's it. What happens every time? They go, ha 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 ha. Wait, what's that book? Oh, How to Eat Weed and Have a Good Time. Ha 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 ha. And that's the whole point of it. And, my publisher, they knew it was going to be difficult to promote this book. And they said, we don't give a fuck. We like that title. So let's show them that they were right and send this to everybody. The link for Amazon is up top here. You can click it. Click that link. It's pinned at the very top. It really, 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 really helps me. You could change my life, I'll pack a fresh bowl for the outro, and then we're going to call it an evening. Cannelloni? I've never made cannelloni before, so that could be fun. Why not? I always love trying something new. I had never made cotton candy before. Spinach ricotta cannelloni. Okay. And cannelloni are kind of like crepes a little bit. Right? They're not like pasta. They're like crepes-ish. So that'd be interesting. That would be fun. I've never made them. I'm just packing this bowl. And then I'm going to play the credits. And I hope everyone has a good evening and the rest of their week. It's Wednesday. We have Saturday's Kitchen Sesh. Come and see me this Saturday. I'll be here on YouTube, streaming live. And if you want to keep the chat going, make sure you join. It's not like crepes at all. Well, whatever. We'll figure it out. I'm going to watch some videos on what it is. Do you guys want to watch some videos, really? Fine. We'll watch a cannelloni. We're not going yet. Just hold your tits. Just hold your titties, okay? Let me just see. Let me see. This is the pasta queen. It's only 3 minutes.
This is gonna be incredible.
What is it?
Layers upon layers upon layers of explosive flavors, just like you. Ingredients. Today we're making cannelloni filled with ricotta and spinach.
Okay, this
also
is exactly
known as,
what we want to do.
I've seen it here, manicotti. They're
Manicotti.
the same thing, pretty much. Today we're making them fresh from scratch. It's gonna be a great option for a holiday meal. It's very simple, it's just gorgeous and very delightful, just like you.
I know she sucks, but oh well, get over it. I want to see what she does.
We make a very simple 10 to 15 minutes garlic, extra virgin olive oil, basil, and whole peel tomatoes go in. Salt it, let it cook for 5 minutes, and then we smash the whole peel tomatoes. For the filling, we have ricotta, blanched spinach, a scrunch of nutmeg,
It is very bourgeois.
a scrunch of pepper, a heavy sprinkle of Parmigiano Reggiano, and one whole egg.
Okay, we can do that.
Massage the ricotta filling.
Okay, basta.
You can use fresh pasta sheets, or you can
Obviously,
buy the little cannelloni
no, we're making
manicotti already made and stuffed
making
them.
them.
We use them fresh
We're
egg
making
pasta.
it.
It's delicious.
She didn't make it. I'm making it. Okay, we can do this all day. That's what you guys want me to make? Okay,
This process
them
of making the
better than
cannelloni is satisfying. And remember, this filling is up to you. Of course, it has to have a good consistency, not too runny, but not too hard either. You can put anything inside. You can add mozzarella.
Okay, I can't enough with her. Okay, that's enough with that. Because I don't think you can put anything. I think you need to keep it very simple and classic. That's what you guys want to make, and I think we should totally make it. Cannelloni. Yeah, but with a nice thin... That was thick. That pasta looked like way too thick. I'll make the pasta fresh. We'll make cannelloni this Saturday, okay? She's a bit dramatic. It's a little over the top. All right, everyone. Have a good night. I'm going to smoke a bowl, and... let's roll these here, this here outro. Oh wait, let me just pop this in one more time just in case you didn't see it yet. If you want to keep the chat going, I highly recommend you join my Patreon, the Edibles Club. You got a DM with me, you got a group chat, it's all there. That's where the club's at. All right, these are my members. Let me show you who loves me. I'm still here. You can still hear me. Those are my edibles producers: Madam Dram, Kathy, Lindsay Gabriel, Chris Core. Oh, Jesus. Thanks for coming tonight, watching me eat cookies and hanging out. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot of stuff. And, you know, I smoke CBD, 1-to-1 CBD THC. So I don't feel too stoned. I actually feel really nice right now. Have a great rest of your week. I'll see you Saturday. Let's make some fresh pasta. Ciao.